Okay. Good evening, guys. You're welcome to class. Let's wait patiently for them to join. All right, so you're welcome to class. Please, as soon as you join, introduce yourself that are with me or study center. That is all we need. Let's start the class with that as we wait for others to join. As soon as you join, tell us your name in the chat box. I'm waiting for us to comply to that. Your name, your study center, that is all. So we know those that are here. Yes, Chioma is here, even though Chioma did not tell us where our study center is. Aisha is from Kaduna Study Center. You are welcome. Yes, the rest of us, where are you chatting us from? Where are you following the class from? We just need to know your study center, your name and your study center. Okay, we have Jibril, Abuja. Chioma is from Abakaliki, Abuja here. You are all welcome to class tonight. I'm happy to see you guys here. Don't forget, as soon as you join, before you attempt to open the chat, you can do something nice by giving this video a thumbs up, like the video, then open the chat to join us. That is the right way to do it. You like the video, then you join the class. All right, while we are waiting for others to join, who will remind us what we did in the last class? Last week we treated something very important. Who will remind us that thing that we treated last week or in the last class, anyhow you want to put it? What did we do in the last class? Yes, I am waiting patiently for someone. I just need someone to, one or two people, what he or she learned in class. Then, yes, anointed. Good evening. That is Olushola from Abeokuta. So okay, it's like you guys don't want to tell me what you learned in the last class. So I may need to question you myself. Since you don't want to tell me, I know what I taught you. So let me not waste your time. I will just quickly ask you question. Okay, let's start by with this one first. What is listening? Let's just start from that first. What is listening? That is one. Number two, who is a listener? So when you answer those two questions, I have one more. Then we'll go to today's class. Yes, yes, yes. Who is answering the question? Let's not make the class a boring one. You already know my style. You must contribute. You will need to contribute. So I am patiently waiting for your answers. What is listening and who is a listener? Very simple, simple question. Well, what we are going into today is not even what I'm showing you. We are going into listening comprehension and note taking. I love this part very well. I love this part very well because part they like asking questions a lot in exam. They ask questions from this part a lot in exam. This note taking and note making, because some of you do confuse the two together. You are unable to differentiate between note making and note taking. Don't worry, we'll get the difference or differences in this class. And not only that, we will know what comprehension means and the relationship between listening and comprehension. However, before we go into that, I want you guys to answer the question. Yes, Aisha Umar says listening is the ability to hear what someone is saying. Thank you. So, who is a listener? Yeah, good evening, sir. That is, you didn't put your name, but you are from Wuse too. That is good. It seems it's only Aisha I have online. Who is a listener? Aisha has given us the meaning of listening, or more meaning, more definitions can come in, but no one has attempted who a listener is yet. So I'm waiting for that, because that was the main definition given in your material. Who is a listener? We've done that since the first class on this course. Okay, still the same Aisha Umar. You guys are getting me bored in this class. Well, according to Aisha Umar, a listener is any person who is capable of listening to anything said and possibly participate in what he listened to. Oh my goodness. I love this. Aisha has been a good follower of this class, and I'm assuring Aisha that she's going to make her A in this course. Mr. Infayin says a listener is anybody who is capable of listening to what is said and possibly participate in what he listened to and what is demanded to be done. In fact, Mr. Infayin gave us the absolute definition from the course material. Thank you, Mr. Infayin. That is very, very correct. So Anointed says we listen to comprehend and we comprehend to listen. Okay, you are trying to give us the relationship between listening and comprehension. Thank you. Well, there's one last question I want to ask you guys, and I can put it to you that if I don't have up to 15 responses on this question, we will not continue this class. I may end the class. What is the full meaning of FC triple A? Yes. Yes, that's the question. What's the full meaning of FC triple A? Well, let me give you a clue of what I'm asking. We talked about listening enabling skills. We mentioned 5 of them. Then we use this mnemonym to hold them. F, C, A, A, A. So, what does F stand for in listening enabling skills that we've treated in this course material? What does C stand for? The first A stands for what? The second A stands for what? And the third A stands for what? Well, if I don't have up to 10, 15 responses, I will keep looking at you guys and waiting for you guys. So once you are ready, you answer, then we'll start what we have today officially. Okay. Comedy Hub is saying functioning ears, concentration. All right. Let's continue. It's only comedy hubs that we have here. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Comedy Hub has done justice to that. Thank you, Comedy Hub. That is making sense. I'm waiting for the rest of you. Elizabeth says F stands for functioning ear, and C stands for concentration. Okay. I'm following you. Okay. Elizabeth says A, the first A stands for ability to think along with the speaker. Okay. I'm with you. Hmm. If you guys will answer that question, we will just be here looking at each other. Maybe I should pin it so that the answers will not cover it and somebody will not ask me what is the question again. Okay, so let's pin it. I'll pin it now. Hmm. So the question is pinned. So nobody will say, I did not see the question, or what is the question again? Anthony Oyike started with ability to receive and follow through what has been said. Number one, that is not even part of it. Number two, you are meant to start from the meaning of F. If you are answering, you answer orderly. You tell us the meaning of F first, the full meaning of C, the full meaning of the first A, the second A, and the third A. Because in exam and TMA, the way they ask question on that is to ask you that the third listening enabling skills is dash, or the second listening enabling skill is dash, which means you must know them orderly in the same order in which they were arranged in the material. You must know what the first A stands for, what the second A stands for, and the last A, what it stands for. So, I'm still waiting. You guys are the one delaying us, so we should have started today's class. But I can promise you that there will be no class if you don't tell us the full meaning of FC A A A. Comedy Hub has done justice to that. Elizabeth is on the way. Okay, Elizabeth has given us the second A. According to her, it means the ability to note important signposts that keep the listening activity going. Okay, that is the second A according to Elizabeth. All right, I'm waiting for the rest of you. Once you are not ready to answer the question, we'll greet each other and end the class. Yes, yes, waiting patiently. Waiting patiently for you guys. Yes, 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 yes. Thank God the chat is open to everyone. It's not a restricted chat, so if you are not able to comment, then you are just not commenting. It's not that something restricted you from commenting. So I am waiting for you guys. What we are supposed to have today is waiting patiently for you to. You are the one yet to respond. You are yet to respond. Okay, Aisha Umaru is waking up. Functioning ear, concentration, ability to think along with the speaker, ability to anticipate what the speaker is about to say. Okay. 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 and then ability to anticipate what the speaker is about to say. All right, thank you. Yes, Christiana is saying functionally here, concentration, ability to think, ability to speak. Uh, Christiana is trying to blow my head. You people should deliver me from Christiana. Oh. Okay, then we have Aisha Umar just completed her own. Ability to note important signposts that keeps the listening activity going. You see, this thing is not just for you to cram, or I'm not just punishing you guys. It's because this is what you need to know. You need to know it for knowing sake, not even for exam sake. If you don't know it, you find yourself just hearing when you attend classes. You find yourself just hearing when you attend classes, facilitations. At the end of the day, semester finishes, exam comes, and you have nothing to write. Why? You have been attending classes and hearing, not listening. And why? Because you don't know how to listen. So here, the course is teaching you how to listen so that it helps you all through your university days and even beyond. And at least it helps you to listen to lectures. So you differentiate, you know the difference between listening and hearing. You know where you are supposed to just hear, and you know where your attention is needed, that you need to listen. Some of you have been mixed, switching the two. You attend class or a facilitation online, then you just hear. You are not listening. Then somebody is gisting you, a gist that has nothing to do with your life. You will not listen to that one instead of just hearing it. You see the issue now. But this course is trying to bring out in you the skill required, the understanding you need to be able to listen effectively and to be able to silently, you know, between the different types of activities, the one that requires you to, listen, and the one that requires you to just hear. That is the common idea. Now, you guys have not given this video a thumbs up. That's not bad, but I'm expecting you guys to do so. I think the you guys are now waking up. We can start today's class. You can see the topic here on your screen. We are now in Unit 3. This is a good progress. And what we're having in Unit 3 is what we call listening comprehension and note taking. 2 in 1. Listening comprehension and note taking. So listening comprehension and what do we call it? Note taking. Note taking. Now, what are we or learn from this unit? Let's look at this now. We want to learn note taking, making. You should start practicing listening by now. We want to learn note taking and note making in this unit. This is a unit you have to pay attention because it's a focus of exam and some questions in TMA. So you must pay attention to it. Don't just come to this class to hear. Come to this class to listen. That's number 1. Number 2 is you will learn how to take notes from lectures. Then you also learn the do's and don'ts of note taking. Those are the things we learn. Now, as a form of introduction to this class, I want to say something. Listening is not complete until understanding takes place. I was saying, the main reason why you listen is because you want to understand. So after you listen to anything, call it a lecture, a seminar, a sermon, or anything you actually listen to, or even a serious conversation, if you do not understand what the speaker is trying to pass along to you or is saying, then you have not listened. You have only heard the person. That's why we say there is a difference between you hearing and you listening. And we have done justice to how to listen, the skills you need to listen. So you'll be able to judge yourself if you are listening to something or you are just hearing something when you practice the principle of FCAAA in the process of that activity. If while somebody is speaking and you're actually paying attention to the person by what? Having ears that can, of course, receive the sound that is coming from the person. By concentrating, that is paying attention to what the person is saying. By, thinking along with the speaker. Your mind is also working as much as the mind of the speaker is working. Then, by anticipating, you are so engrossed in that activity that you are waiting for what the person will say next. And finally, you are noticing signposts when the person is about to say, like when we're about to start this class now, I said, you guys should pay attention. Say, this is very important. When you hear words like that, it's trying to tell you that what the person is about to say next is of absolute importance to the speech. So, once you are able to exhibit or practicalize these 5 points or skills, then in any activity you practicalize them, you are listening. You are not just hearing. I'm just using that as a form of reminder, to help you recall what we have done in the previous class. That's not the main thing we have today. Today we are going. So, but if you look at the topic very well, we have two things combined here. We have both listening comprehension, the other part, note taking. So we will have to talk about listening comprehension before we go to note taking. So listening comprehension is the ability to listen to information, understand its meaning, identify the important points, and also interpret the speaker's message correctly. Let me give you an example. So I tell this class now that GST101 tutorial we hold tomorrow at 4 p.m. instead of 3 p.m. because the facilitator has another engagement. I'm making an announcement now, assuming I'm saying right now we are in this class or probably in the group. I just entered the group and I dropped a voice note by saying GST101 tutorial will hold tomorrow at 4 p.m. instead of 3 p.m. because the facilitator has another engagement. Now, if a student hears what I say in that voice note, the only thing the student will hear is that GS101 tomorrow. That is all. The student that hears will only hear so that I mentioned something like GS, something like tomorrow. That is for a student that just heard what I said. But for a student who listened to what I said, who comprehend what I in listening comprehension. That is what I'm picking out from the topic now and I'm explaining. So now a student who listen to me and comprehend I said in the voice note will do the following. One, the students will know that the course I'm is just 101. That is the first thing the student will understand from my speech. Excuse me. Now, it doesn't end there. Yes, he knows that, or he understands that what I am talking about is not just one. That is the first thing. Then the second thing that student that listen and comprehend what I said we pick is that there is a new time, and the new time is 4 p.m. Then that student that listen and understand will be able to give reason. That the reason I mentioned was that the facilitator has another engagement. That is what we call comprehension. It is far different from a student that just notice that I said something about the man just mentioned GST101, and then I think he said something like tomorrow. I don't know, but there's a difference between the two. What are we trying to say here? Hearing is not the same as listening. You must know the distinction between hearing and listening. Let me give you another example to help us understand before we start going into note taking and note making. Imagine you are inside your room, probably studying maybe GST101 material, and somebody is playing music in the parlor or in the sitting room. You can hear the music even though you are not interested in the music, because your mind is settled for the book you are reading. So you are not interested, but that doesn't mean you will not hear the sound coming from the parlor or the sitting room. So long your ears are functioning, you will hear. So the music playing in the sitting room doesn't concern you. You are only hearing it. You are not understanding it. You are not comprehending it. You are not. If you compare that activity with lecturer begins to explain something to you in class, and the lecturer says, there are 4 methods of data processing, and then want to start listing method. Your mind is deliberate at that moment. So your mind will concentrate on that lecturer is about to say. That is listening. That is listening. So in a very simple, way, we can differentiate between listening and hearing in this format. Hearing happens naturally. Just anywhere you find yourself, you find some sound coming into your ears, you are hearing. But for listening, it requires conscious effort. You must be conscious about it when you are listening. This is necessary so that you don't confuse the two. Where you are supposed to listen, you won't go there and be hearing. And where you just need to hear something and wave it off, you won't go there and be listening. It helps you a lot, necessarily, or even waste your. Now, let's go to the level comprehension that we have. According to part of the material, we have some levels of comprehension that we will look at. We have some comprehension that we will look at. Okay, I think I'm dwelling too much on listening comprehension. I'm dwelling too much on it, so we need to leave that. You've done that before. Let me not dwell too much on it. So let's quickly go to the main one we are supposed to have today, which is note taking. I hope you guys are ready. Okay, so let's as a form of entering what we have today, I'd like to test us a bit. I would like to test us a bit. What should I do now? Okay, let's take some icebreakers. I have just mentioned so many things about listening and comprehension. So I want you to list it in the chat box there. Kindly tell us the difference. One difference, or difference rather, that you know between listening and hearing. Yes, just one. Give us one. Yes, I am waiting patiently for your answers. Give one difference or mention any difference you know between listening and hearing. Yes, it's there in the chat box. I'm waiting patiently for you guys to. Yes, I'm waiting. I hope I still have people with me or I'm here alone. I just finished explaining now. I don't think it should be hard for you guys. Oh. This is what I just finished explaining. It shouldn't be hard for you guys. Listening is, I have Theola here, Donatus. Listening is paying attention to what we hear. That is not, you've not, when you are differentiating between two things, you are comparing them. So you have to mention both sides. Okay, look at what Aisha only has to do with someone's mind and understanding. While, thank you, that's what I'm looking for. When you are comparing two things, don't worry, we'll soon get there. We'll soon get to compare and contrast. I think that should be your GST102 to do. While hearing, see day-to-day activities that cannot be. Aisha is trying to confuse me at a later part of the statement, the answer. Mr. Anthony says listening has to do with attention, consciousness on the speaker, while hearing happens naturally. Thank you. This is absolutely correct. Hearing happens naturally. That is it. That is correct. Hearings happens naturally. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I am still waiting for the rest of you. We are more than 20 in this class. Why is it only two people that are contributing? That is cheating. The rest of you, what are you here doing? Okay, I just hope people you learn to. It's always good you contribute. It's always good. People should stop this habit of people have been following. You will know if they have been following things to you. If you are not listening, okay. Executive shortlets. Who is that person? Okay. Thank you, Comedy Gen Z or is it Gen Z? Thank you for the gift. God bless you. So, executive says, listen act of putting your mind and paying attention into something or a particular thing while hearing happens naturally, but your mind isn't fixed on what you are hearing. That is correct. Thank you. Okay, I think you people have the concept now. Let's go to what we have today fully. So, the introduction, I may not read directly, just try to bring out the point that we have in the introduction. It's right there on your screen. I hope it's visible enough, or I should bring it up a bit. Let's try to zoom it up a bit so you see it better. Okay, so As a form of introduction, we try to say that in the previous unit, we learned that listening and comprehension are related. We listen to comprehend. That is the relationship between them. The main reason why you are listening is because you want to understand what you are listening to. So we listen to comprehend. That is the relationship between the two of them. So we understand in order to respond appropriately. And then the attention we give to a message depends partially or partly on the purpose and importance of that message. So whether you listen critically or you listen partially to a message, it's going to it's a factor of the purpose of that listening, why you are listening to that message. So let's take for example, you may listen casually to music while cleaning your room. However, you must listen more carefully when you attend a lecture and the lecturer is explaining a difficult concept, or when a doctor gives you prescription or medication, or when an examination officer announces correction on a project you've done before. So in those moments, you need to listen more carefully. So now we need to start from listening to note taking. You have to, when you are taking note, I don't want to jump. Let me just go little by little as we are going like this. Let's assume a lecturer says major causes of poor academic performance are inadequate preparation, poor time management, and lack of concentration. Let's assume, okay, no, I'm actually teaching now, and I say that you are listening, you are in the class, and I say the three major causes of poor academic performance are inadequate preparation, poor time management, and lack of concentration. Now, a student should not attempt to write every word when taking notes. If you are to write everything I'm saying when you are taking notes, then in one speech, you will need to buy A4, what is this? Higher education. The book we call higher education, that big book. You need to buy it for each speech, seminar, or sermon that you attend to listen to. What are we trying to do now? We are trying to introduce you to how to listen, how to take notes properly. But what are you taking note from? It's from something you hear, from a lecture, from a sermon, for anything. So you need to know or note that when a speaker is speaking and you are actually jotting, we use the word jotting for it in Nigeria. You are noting down what the person is saying. You are taking note. Now, from that my statement, if you are a good note taker, you can just write causes of poor academic performance, inadequate preparation, poor time management, lack of concentration. Then you stop there. Now, you did not say everything I mentioned, or you did not write down all the words I used in expressing that idea, but you still brought out what the main point. So the student has listened, understood, and extracted the important point. So when you attend a lecture, the best way of noting down the points used by or mentioned by the speaker, and the best way not to get bored, is for you to only extract the important point. Sometimes when a lecturer is teaching, the lecturer may adopt illustration examples just for you to understand better the main point. But the main point is very short and simple. But the lecture may be long. Why? The lecturer may decide to use illustration and a lot of examples so that you better understand the concept. But the main concept itself is just one single idea. Now, what is the roadmap? What is the roadmap for taking notes? You first listen to the speech. the lecture, anything, you understand it, you identify key ideas, you record briefly the key ideas, then later on you review what you've recorded. Let me ask us a very simple question before we go to the learning objectives. I've just done the introduction, but before we go to the learning objectives, I want to ask us a question. For those of you that are Christians, or even if you are a Muslim, do you usually jot down when you attend the church program for sermon? Do you have a jotter? Do you go to church with jotter? Do you jot down the sermon? Do you note down the sermon when you go to Asalatu, when the imam is, making some speech? Do you usually write down? Have you always been writing down everything the person is saying word for word? If the person say is, you write is. If you say going, you write going. If you say under, you write under. Is that how you normally take your notes? Yes, let's discuss. I just want to know how good the people are already doing in note taking and notes. Yes, in note taking. All right. So I think some people are responding. All right. So thank you. Now that takes us to the objectives of the learning outcomes. What are you expected to, achieve from this lecture or this lesson? By the end of this lesson, you should be able to, one, define note taking. Two, define note making. Two things there. One is taking, the other one is making. Differentiate between note taking and note making. 4, explain the importance of taking notes. 5, identify the main ideas in lectures. You should be able to identify the main ideas in lecture. 6, you should be able to use abbreviations and symbols correctly when you are jotting down. 7, you should be able to organize notes and headings and subheadings. You should be able to organize your notes with headings and subheadings. Number 8, objective, you should be able to apply note-taking techniques to lectures, seminars, and speeches you attend. And 9, you should be able to state the do's and don'ts of note-taking. And lastly, you should be able to produce clear, concise, and from an oral presentation. That is that on the learning objectives and outcomes. Now let's go to the main content. What do we have here? Now this is where you have to pay attention. We are going to something serious and the main purpose you are here tonight. First of all, we will talk about listening comprehension, because that is where this is starting from. We've already said that listening comprehension is the ability to receive spoken information, understand its meaning, and respond appropriately. Listening comprehension is the ability to receive spoken information, understand its meaning, and of course, respond appropriately. I have an icebreaker on that. And that is the icebreaker. So it involves, when we are talking about listening comprehension, it involves you hearing the speaker, paying attention, recognizing the words the speaker uses, understanding the sentences, connecting related ideas, you identifying the main message, you remembering important details from the message, and also you responding or recording the information. Now, let's assume I say in this class now that assignment constitute 30% or TMA constitute 30% of your total continuous assessment score. You must submit all TMAs before Friday. Assuming, I'm not saying you should submit TMA before Friday. We are just citing examples. Now, a student who understands that message should be able to identify 2 important facts from that my message. One is that assignment is 30%, And the second one is that submission deadline is Friday. So if the student is to jot down that my speech or that my announcement, the student will merely write assignment equals to 30% of CA. CA will now stand for continuous assessment. Then the student will also write deadline equals Friday. That student has done justice to what I've just said. The student have jotted it down perfectly. Look at the long sentence. Me saying, let me type it there for you guys so you see the difference between the main speech and your jotting down. You don't need to jot down everything the person is saying. You just bring out the important points from your own understanding of the speech and jot it down. Now look at what the speaker said. Then look at how I jotted it down. I jotted it down by saying 30% assignment is 30% of CA continuous assessment. Then deadline equals Friday. Very short and simple. That is how you take notes. Okay, let's continue. Comprehension. And what we're doing by this one involves only the obvious or surface meaning. When you are attempting something for the superficial comprehension, you just want the surface meaning of that thing. You are not interested in deep meaning. Now, let me take an example to help us understand what I am saying. What I am saying. Now, what is that? If I say, who is here with me to buy? Okay, Toibat. Toibat is here. Or is it Toibat? Okay, I think it's Toibat. And then Balikis is here. Okay, let me use Balikis. If I said, if I say Balikis arrived late because the bus broke down. Balikis arrived late because the bus broke down. Now, somebody that listens superficially will understand that Balkis arrived late from that my statement, but a deep comprehension. So superficial comprehension and deep comprehension. So the second one, deep comprehension, it involves going beyond the obvious words to understand the relationships, intentions, implications, and even conclusions of what the speaker is saying. Now let's use that same Balkis arrived late because the bus broke down. Let's take the deep comprehension now. If you are to understand that one deeply, from that same statement or sentence, you may infer that Balkis did not deliberately arrive late. You see that it's different from somebody that listened to it superficially. For the person listening to it for superficial understanding, the person only understood two things. Balkis arrived late, and then the bus broke down. Those are the only two things a superficial listener understood from the sentence. But a deep listener or somebody who listens for deep comprehension, that person will understand that Balkis did not come late or did not arrive late deliberately. The second thing somebody that listens for deep comprehension will likely get from that my sentence is that the delay was caused by a transportation problem. And then the last thing, which is even more deeper than the ones you've said, is that somebody that listens to that sentence for deep understanding may have think around the box and even outside the box to note that the way I was saying that making that my statement or that my sentence, I'm trying to explain or defend Balkis. That Balkis lateness, I'm trying to that the speaker was trying to defend Balkis. You know, you that you listen superficially, you may not think to that extent. That's what we're trying to say. So when you listen, so we have two levels of listening: the superficial listening and the deep. Two levels of comprehension: the superficial comprehension and the deep comprehension. I think I have tried. Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. So I have dropped the question there. I want you guys to answer it. What are the two types of, comprehension levels we have? Then we'll go to note taking and note making, which is our main concern today. We'll now start reading deeply about note taking and note making. Please, guys, I want you guys to pay attention to this part. Many students use note taking and note making as if they mean the same thing. Well, they are very related, but they are not exactly the same thing. What is the meaning of note taking? Please, the first thing you need to understand is, one is take. Let me ask you a very simple question. If there is, where do you use the expression take? When the word take is used, what kind of transaction is going on? I want to ask you that. Whenever the word take is used, what kind of transaction is ongoing there? What kind of transaction is going there? Well, let me create the process of making something involves you producing something. You are the one, making that thing. You are producing, you are coming up with something from yourself. That thing is coming out from you. So you have something. But when it has to do with taking, you are receiving from someone else. So when I point a pen to you now and say, take this pen, you are actually receiving from me. But when you are making a pen, you may be mixing up some ingredients, coming up with some design you are making. So that should help you. From the natural meaning of those two words, take and make, it should be very simple for you to understand the meaning of note taking and note making. Now, note taking is the process of listening to lecture, speech, discussion, presentation, and even recordings, presentation or any form of seminar or anything. But it doesn't end there. You listen and record the important points in a brief, organized form. I'll take that again. Note taking is the process of listening to a lecture, speech, discussion, presentation, seminar, sermon, just name them, and recording the important points in a brief, organized form. That is note taking. You listen to someone making a speech. You understand what the person is saying. Then you are trying to jot down some important points from what the person is saying. Yes, I have another icebreaker there for you guys to attempt. Kindly answer that. Now, note taking is mainly connected with listening. You have to listen before you take notes. You must listen before you take notes. Where do we take notes? You can take notes from a class, from a seminar, a tutorial like we are doing now, a speech, a meeting, a documentary, a radio program, a television broadcast, an online class, an audio recording. Just name them. Or even a supervisor's correction. You can take notes from just anything that involves someone passing knowledge to you through speeches, through the word of mouth. Then you listening and trying to jot down important points. That is taking notes. Let's take an example. If, for example, now during this lecture or this tutorial, I say communication may be verbal or non-verbal. Verbal communication involves the use of words, while non-verbal communication involves gestures, facial expressions, and body movement. If I say that now, like I've said now, a student taking notes may just write types of communication: verbal, use of words; non-verbal, gestures, facial expressions, body movement. That student has already gotten the main point, summarize what I've said. So when you are taking notes, you don't write everything the person is saying. That will be jargons. That is why the process of taking notes, requires you to listen first. Why do we listen? These things are in layers. They taught you this thing layer by layer. What you are supposed to know first. The reason why you are first taught listening and then listening comprehension, like why we listen, which is we listen to comprehend. That means to understand. Before telling you or teaching you note taking, is because they are all related. Before you can take notes successfully from any lecture, you must have listened to that lecture. So your listening will produce in you understanding. Your understanding will produce in you notes. Then when you take that or those notes on paper using pen, you have concluded the activity of note taking, which means note taking starts from listening. And listening is meant to produce just one thing in you: understanding. It is not that your understanding of what you listen to that you will pen down as notes. That is why notes are just short version, just brief, just a summary of the important point that someone giving a speech has made. So you don't need to write all that I've said. When I said communication may be verbal or non-verbal, verbal communication involves the use of words, while non-verbal communication involves gestures, facial expressions, and body movement. Now, when Tobias, Toibat, what am I saying, Tobias? When Toibat was trying to jot down what I've said or take notes from what I've said, she only wrote types of communication: verbal, use of words; non-verbal, gestures, facial expression, body movement. And she has done justice to what I've said. So that is that on note taking. That is the meaning of note taking. I have done justice to that. Just know that whenever somebody is giving a speech, talking, teaching you something, and you are jotting down what the person is saying, that is when you are taking note. You receive from someone. So note taking is all about someone saying something, someone teaching you something, you listening to a radio program or a television program or a sermon in church, and you are writing down in your notes. You are taking notes. You are taking notes. That is the meaning of note taking. Now, let's go to the meaning of note making, and that is where we end the class tonight. What is the meaning of note making? I pity those that did not attend this class. As soon as we finish this class, I will turn it to members only. So if you want to watch the recording, if you are not a member of my channel, if you have not paid for membership, you will not be able to watch the recording. That is the reward for those of you that attended the live class. I've always said make time to attend, but if you don't know the value of attending it, then if you want to watch the recording, you have to use membership to watch it. Now, meaning of note making. What is the meaning of note making? Note making is the process of understanding them and reorganizing the information in a shorter, clearer form. Now, let me start by using this example. All of you, the moment you enter NOM, there is something you will likely start hearing about: summary, and you start paying for summary. Hey, please, who have this summary? Help me. Find out that nobody is ready to give it out for free. Then you start looking for where you buy it. Why do you need to buy summary when you are meant to make your own summary? You are meant to make your own summary, and that even helps you better. It helps your reading better. It helps you to understand concept better. Now, what is the process of making? Note making now is a productive activity. You are now the one producing the note from what you have read. When you open GST101 material now, and you read module 1 unit 1, then let's say module 1 unit 1 is about 5 pages. After reading it and understanding what it is all about, okay, the whole of module 1 is just talking about listening. Then it also talk about uh, listening enabling skills. So in other words, everything in module 1 unit 1 is what? The meaning of listening. Then you wrote it down. Listening is this and this and this and this. Then who is a listener was also discussed there. A listener is anybody who is able to pa, 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 pa. Then the skills for listening were also mentioned there. FCAAA. Then you wrote the meaning. You are done. That is meaning of note making. You read, you understand, then you are producing notes from what you've read, so that when you later need to consult that topic, maybe it's time to now start doing revision for exam, you don't need to go back to the full textbook. You can just open your own notes, the summary that you've written. So as you are reading the summary this time around, you are also understanding the full concept in the material without going back to the material. That is the work of note making. When you make note, you can refer back to your note and, of course, use them subsequently when it arises. So note making is mainly associated with reading and private study. So note taking is associated with listening. Note making is associated with reading and private study. So when they ask you in exam that what kind of activity is done by Elizabeth when Elizabeth is in a study room, what kind of activity is being done by Elizabeth when Elizabeth is reading maybe just 101 textbook course material, or in a study room? Is it note taking or note making? She's of course making notes, because this time around she's not listening to anything. She is now reading. So the act connected to reading is note making. The one connected to you listening to someone first, note taking. Now, what are the things you make notes from? You make notes from textbooks, course materials, journals, articles, newspaper, encyclopedias, research reports, webinars, dictionaries, directories. Mention them, just anything you can imagine as a book or resource. So let's differentiate between note taking and note making, and we'll end the class here. In the next class, we go further. Now, for note taking is mainly based on listening, while note making is based on reading. Note taking is commonly done during lectures and speeches, while note making is commonly done during private study, when you are reading, preparing for exam or anything. Now, in note taking, the student usually works at the speaker's pace. You have to, as the speaker is, the speed of the speaker that is speaking will determine your speed when you are taking notes. But when you are making notes, you are the one that control the pace at which you will go. You understand? The speed of note making is your sole responsibility, is dependent on you entirely. But the speed of note taking is dependent on the third party. That means the person giving the speech. So there may be little time to check information immediately when you are taking notes, because somebody is talking and since it's not like the person is paused. Even if you are listening to recorded this thing, you may need to pause it if you want to check the meaning of information. But in note making, of course, you can check the dictionary for meaning of things before you pen them down. You understand? You can pause, you can read, you can reread, you can leave the material now, go back again. That one is note making, because you are reading from a book. For note taking, it requires speed, writing fast, while for note making, it's allows more time, for you to carefully organize your notes. In note taking also, you use abbreviations a lot, while in note making, you may write full explanation in note making. Now, the last difference I will say is that notes taking is you writing down another person's idea, another person's idea or ideas. While note making, you are writing down your own ideas that you obtain, your own understanding that you got from reading. Let's take this in a very simple way. Note taking, you listen, you take down the important. Making, you read, you understand, and you make your own organized notes. That is the summary for tonight's class. And I hope you people understand the foundational concept of note taking and note making now, because that is the main idea of tonight's class, for you to understand the concept of note taking and note making. You know, we have this assessment here at when you are reading a book in the library. So let's quickly do it. So what you just do as I'm dropping the questions, once I drop it, you answer if it is, you just write number one, NM, that is if it is note taking. You understand? If it is note making, you sorry, if it's note taking, you write NT. If it's note making, you write NM. Now I've dropped the first one. When reading a book in the library, is it NT or NM? Yes, yes. Let me hear from you guys. When reading a book in the library, will you be making notes or you'll be taking notes? So is it NT? Oh, sorry. Is it MT? N? Sorry. TN is taking notes. MT is making. Oh, sorry. MN is. Anyhow you put it, let's just understand. Okay, Solomon said it is note making, while executive said it is note taking. No, I'm not going with executive. Yes, Danjuma. And the second one is when consulting an encyclopedia, will you be taking notes or you'll be making notes when consulting an encyclopedia? Just so that anyone that is printed material that you are consulting, it's note making. Okay, note making, note making. All right, thank you. Now, when reading a recent journal, are you taking notes or you are making notes? Okay, they said note making. Thank you. Now, when in a distinguished annual lecture, in a lecture, do you take notes or you make notes? Okay, Danjuma says it's note taking. Okay. 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 When listening to a documentary made and you're listening to it, will you be making notes or you be taking notes? Yeah. I don't think I should be seeing any note making again, no. Because most of the ones I'm dropping now, they are note taking. When it's in you listening to something before you write down, is note taking. When it involves you reading, and writing down your understanding of what you read, that one is note making. You shouldn't confuse them. Okay, the next one, when you are in the reference section of a library, when you are in the reference section of a library, will you be making notes there or you'll be taking notes? So you are telling me that in the reference section of a library, you'll be taking notes. Hey, you people, with all the way I've explained this thing in a very simple way, you still don't understand it. when you are in the library, so you take note in the library. I'm asking that, I want you guys to answer that question 6. What is the answer to question 6? Put the number first before you answer. So that some of you, I don't even know what to answer. You are just saying NM, NT, NT. Put the number. If you want to answer, okay, number 6 or NM or NT. Okay. Question 7 is there already. When listening to a budget broadcast, will you be making notes or be taking notes? Then we have number 8. When consulting yellow pages. Okay. Okay, we're almost done. When in a crucial meeting, will you take note or you will make note? In a crucial meeting, you take note or you will make notes? Is it note making or note taking? Okay, and of course, the last one, number 10, when consulting an open university directory. I know why some of you are getting it confused. Some of the grammars they use, you don't even know what they meant. Some of you don't know the meaning of yellow pages. You don't know the meaning of encyclopedia. When consulting an open university directory, will you be making note or you'll be taking note? Number 8 is note making. Thank you. Let's keep the answers coming. So number 10, I'm waiting for the answer to number 8. Will be good to go. 10 is note making. Thank you. That is all I'm waiting for. All right, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for attending tonight's class. It's been a wonderful time, and I think we've learned a lot today or tonight. So we're expecting the questions on this part on your assignment portal. I will update it tomorrow. See you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your week.